and welcome everyone to the very first episode of Redline Podcast. Um, Great to be here. Shane, co-host. What we're going to call each other? We co-hosts or we co-guests? I don't know what we are. Fantastic to be here. Guys, if you're listening into this, you're listening to Paul Banks from Javelin Content Management and Shane Mahi from Sales Driven and wherever else you're going to be in the forthcoming future, because you've got a big future lined up, Shane. I'm looking forward to sharing some of the journey. It's going to be awesome, man. It's going to be awesome.
It'll be very interesting. It'll be very, very interesting. A few new opportunities coming up. So yeah, I'm Shane. Myself and Paul, we partnered up on a bunch. Well, we've been in the same community for a while. Paul has the same type of energy that I have, and I've not met really a lot of people that can match my type of energy and have a good sense of humor and actually smile as often as Paul does. So this is why we're here today. In the time that we have been putting together the idea and the plan for this podcast, a number of opportunities have come my way. There's a number of doors that have opened, and myself and Paul are basically going to document our journey as partners in growing a business. And our goal is to help this audience that tunes in either start a business, continue growing their business, or take their business from wherever you are right now, hopefully in excess of at least 500K to at least $1 million in annual recurring revenue. So that's my introduction there.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I think the important thing to shout out at the beginning, Shane, is this is not a sales podcast where we come on and ram our services down your throat. That is not what we're about.
Yeah.
You won't get sponsorships. You won't get all that sort of fluff in the middle of the episode. The only thing that you'll hear from us is advice, support, and crazy shit. And when Shane says that I've got a sense of humor, it doesn't mean I'm funny, by the way. It just means that he can laugh at me and I don't take it to heart. I'm absolutely not funny. So yeah, I mean, like Shin, I guess the important thing is, like, me and you came together. We've been chatting for about 6 months or a year, and I think the thing that we can both agree on is that by and large, sales is broken from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And people hate salespeople. Sales itself has a really, really dirty name, and yet there are so many amazing, fantastic, really intelligent people that are working in it, and that are working really hard to change that ethos. And we kind of wanted to put something together that was going to help shift some of that perspective. If you're not in the sales industry, we want you to hear what we've got to say, how we want to impact on the sales industry by doing what we're doing. And we're going to have some fantastic guests along the way as well, right, Shen?
Yes, we are. So we've got a ton of people lined up in terms of myself. I entered the industry as a business owner back in 2020, and the first thing I literally did was just message as many important people, or people that I thought was important, online, and just said, "Hey, look, I'm starting a business and I need some help. I really want some help." And over the past 3 years, I'm not going to exaggerate, but I've accumulated probably at least 20 or 30 decent mentor-like people or business owners, people who have exited businesses. And as a result of them watching my journey, I have built fantastic relationships with them. And those are some of the people that will help us understand how sales is broken, how they've been fixing sales. And some of these people have been in sales for the past, I think, 30 to 40 years. So it'd be probably going to be very insightful to see some of these members come on board.
Yeah. So, I mean, the format of the show, guys, if you're listening along, it's going to vary from week to week. We've got lots and lots of different things planned. We've also got Shane's business partner, Antoine Marsden, who's going to be part of the show on occasion. We're working around 3 busy people's diaries. That's the important thing. So we're doing this. We're not just kind of face of the business CEOs and founders. We are very much living our life, our business, family life around the edges, recording a podcast in the middle of it, doing all sorts of crazy shit. And hopefully passing a lot of value off to you guys as we go along the way. But the important thing is this is meant to be fun, and we're going to have some real riot laughs whilst we're doing this. I can guarantee it. So some weeks you won't hear from me. You can have a break, thank God. Some weeks we'll have a break from Shane, which will be nice.
You'll need it.
And other weeks it might just be Antoine, and neither of us are here, so you can see what revelations appear as we're doing all of that. And then we're going to obviously have a triple talking heads and stuff like that, where it's me, Shane, and Antoine just kind of getting together. So that's the sort of things that you can expect from us. Not safe for work because we are going to swear. I'm not going to lie. I don't think it's necessary to swear, but I do like to. When there's emphasis needed, it's going to go in there, and if you don't like it, it's tough shit. And yeah, we're gonna share where the industry is, like, what's wrong with sales? Why is it the way that it is? What do people see that's wrong with it? What are the problems if you're in the industry that's causing the things to be the way that they are? We want to look at where we want to get to. So what's the future of sales? What does it look like? Where we've got ChatGPT now, we've got generative AI, everything's in the mix. People worry about their jobs. Is SDR work going to be a thing of the future? Or is it just going to be bots? All those sorts of questions. We're going to tackle those. And then we're going to ask ourselves how we get there, because that's the important thing. What can we impact on today as salespeople and sales professionals, and people who are engaging with sales professionals? Because I'm conscious that you might not be a salesperson who's listening to this show. You might be a business owner, you might be a founder, and you might be wondering how you build up your own sales team. Hopefully we can add a ton of value to everyone as we go along the way. But the important thing is, if you want to get in touch with us, there's a myriad of ways to get in touch with us. We would love to hear your feedback on the show, on what we're talking about, what we propose to talk about. And if you've got any ideas, you want to be a guest, all those sorts of really cool things, please drop us a line. This is a community starting right here. This is a community for salespeople, for business owners. Bring it along. Let's share it. Let's get it out there, and let's make a success of things together, because there's some exciting things coming down the line for all of us. And together we are stronger than we are apart. Like I gave a motivational troop speech, right?
Yeah, you're like, what's his name? David Goggins right now. So I think I've got a good place to start. Literally, in terms of why is sales so bad? I literally just got off a call right now with a company that's in the marine space. And we have worked with one of our partners, Cloud Task, and they shared a proposal with a bunch of metrics and a bunch of numbers, and that went in front of the client. The objective of working with them is Cloud Task is you literally get into qualified meetings. So Cloud Task is another outsourced agency that we partner with. We work with. They're fantastic, run by Amir Ryder. And basically, for outsourced service providers, they match B2B businesses and outsourced service providers, and they bring you sales qualified leads. So people who have a budget, who have gone through qualification, and you sit in front of them and just say, how are you going to do it? Now, the first call was good in terms of what we got involved in, and they were happy. They had a few questions, and then sent them over a proposal with those metrics. And then I actually looked at it in a bit more detail, and I got a bit confused with some of the numbers that were proposed. Now, moving forward from there, getting a bit of dialogue back and forth. Can you tell me about this? We have a few items to discuss. Well, what do you want to, I don't like to wait for those calls to say, what do you want to discuss? Tell me what you want to discuss now, and I'll come to the call prepared. And he said, well, the numbers don't make sense. What do you think? I said, look, mate, I'll be completely honest. I have no clue what these numbers mean. What do you think? And he goes, I agree. So we sat on the call today, and we were going through the numbers, and he said, I need numbers. You tell me how many calls you're going to make, how many prospects you're going to make. Tell me how many meetings you're going to book. And I said, I don't know. Why? Like, he said, you're going into a new market. You're going into the US. Everybody wants to go into the US because it's so big and there's so many more companies. But some people don't realize when they go into that market, they get slammed because the US has most of everything that we're trying to bring there. And more importantly, they are the United States of America for a reason. They're unified in using internal American businesses. That's what the whole purpose of the United States is. It's to influence small to mid-sized businesses, which make up 70% of the entire GDP, and then whoever else is on the top, right? And then you've got obviously your stragglers on the bottom. But fast forward, we got into the conversation, and I was getting really pissed off, like really annoyed, because he kept saying, I need these bloody numbers. I said, look, all right, it's 100%. You're going to close 100% of the meetings. Now what? well, I need real numbers. And I'm like, well, this is the thing. You don't have these real numbers. Why are you asking me for intros? What's the conversion on that qualified? Okay, how many qualified are going to go to an actual demo? Well, you tell me. And it's your business.
Yeah.
So what have
Yeah,
you
man.
seen in the European market, right? What have you seen in the European market that tells you that you're going to convert 25%, 25%, 50%, 70%, 85%? If you don't do that, can I fire you as a client and still get all my money? No.
Yeah.
Okay. So what makes you think it's going to work the other way around, right? And we got to the point where, thank God, this is why I work with Anton, because I'm the bullish, aggressive, like I'm 100 miles per hour. And then Antoine is like, he'll like grab the back of my shirt and be
Mediator.
like, hold on, Shay. Hold on. Get the football back. And then he chimed in and he goes, look, and he will say in a very calculated manner, very consultative, professional delivery. He's very articulate. And he mentioned it to them and he said, look, what Shane's trying to tell you is we're not just going to make up these numbers. Okay. The point of you working with us is so we can go out into the market and understand what is happening. We can understand these audience, we can understand the appetite, and we can give you relevant feedback because we can have strong conversations and tell you what they're saying. And then in addition to that, as a bonus, you will get meetings, you will get people that are interested, but he's like, no, everybody's going to want it. You're full of shit, mate. Nobody wants everything. What is going to happen is they're going to say, maybe send me info, call back in 3 months, call back in 9 months, not ready to make a decision, budgets are frozen, all the great excuses that we're going to get, but they're real because people have real live jobs. They have real lives to get. And he ironed it out. And then again, like, my thing is I've been doing this for 3 years as a business owner, and I've got to the point where I'm just like, I don't wanna sell anymore. Because some people just really winding me up so much. So as I'm messaging him, I said, "Okay, cool. Are we, how aligned are we on price? How aligned are we on the proposal? You guys are right in the mix. Okay, cool." So fast forward from there, then we spoke about everything, and I said, "Okay, cool. So does everything make sense? Do you know how everything looks? Yes, 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 yes. All right, cool. So can you give me a decision today? No, it's a couple of weeks." I said, "Pick another partner. If you don't sign it today, I'm gone." Right? And then I just got off the call because I just couldn't take it anymore. I hate people that carry on dragging you on, dragging you on. And then Anton called me after. He said, "Look, that was good because I spoke to them. They said they understand it. Shane's very aggressive, but Antoine is the one who levels it out then, and then he can speak to them." But the point I'm trying to make is you've got ambitious business leaders, ambitious business owners, which is fine. And I've been that person too. But being realistic in terms of what you are going out to do and then asking people to promise fictitious numbers or imaginary pictures. And then they say, you did, well, they're pushing you to say it. But then when you say it, I'm not the type of person that falls to that, but that I'm sure other people fold, give them the number. And then when they go and deliver the project, they get to the end of it and say, oh, you didn't deliver this. You were shit. You didn't do what you promised. And then they go to another company, which may be us or you, and they'll say, well, all you guys are the same.
Yeah.
But we just told you we're not going to do that. I had one guy actually tell me, you are part of an industry that has a terrible name. So you have to pay the price of giving me a discount. And I was just like, I was desperate
Do you
for
know what it
money.
is?
So by the
What,
time I
like,
took,
there's two things wrong with it all, right? Which one is like people look at the wrong metrics. People are chasing the
yep.
wrong freaking metrics all the time, and they do it in their own business, and then they try and cause other people to do it. So if you're in
Yeah.
you're in business leadership and you're giving your marketing team a target of MQLs, you are asking them to fudge the numbers because that's all they'll do.
Yep.
They'll get to the end of the month. They haven't hit a few MQLs. They'll put a white paper out with some gated content on. Somebody downloads it once. Brilliant. I've got an MQL green. No, that's not driving business. That's not driving value for your business. And then they do the same thing with external partners, probably more so. But
Yep.
at the same time, that's also driven by these other businesses that come in promising 30 leads in 30 days and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
And they make life so hard for the rest of us. And like, I get what they're trying to do because they're working, they've been on the receiving end of what you're on, and they've gone, okay, well, we'll just go with that and we'll just keep bouncing around. And you probably make some decent money doing that. Poor reputation. but you can make some decent money doing it.
Horrible.
But at the end of the day, all you're going to get is leads. They're not qualified. They're not, or you explain what your ICP is, what your ideal client looks like. And they just, what's that? Is that crickets? Can't hear anything. Yeah. It's weird because they don't want to
And
work with your ideal clients. Who? CSOs? No.
that is the problem. You're exactly right. That is the problem. They don't get the objective. And because it's so skewed, all they're thinking is, let me start a business and make money. Right. And even business owners that have done it, they're coming into a new era. This is a new arena of working. The whole thing I'm understanding is they really do have all the control. They don't need you to be coming in and saying, we do this, 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 this. You've obviously got the select few that can differentiate themselves in very unique ways. One of my things that I've learned is genuinely that one thing that has always separated me from everybody is my personality and just being open and transparent. And that's how I tend to win business with value, with obviously a procedure and a framework. But it is broken. It is very broken. And I would love to be able to help people understand how to look at it from a new lens. Patrick Bet-David says it the best. Look at life through a different lens, because the old ways do not work. The new ways, we have to understand them. And you, for example, even just speaking to you over the past few weeks, months, or whatsoever, I had come into sales with very basic sales knowledge, very, very basic sales knowledge. Took on Sander training and some other training, and I've developed a little bit more, and I understand a little bit more from speaking to clients and my experience. But again, there's a lot I don't know. There's a ton of stuff I don't know. So maybe following kind of like you hit some big numbers, and I know your network is quite large. What kind of advice would you give to the community, the audience, on how to improve yourself and separate yourself from the rest or the pack and become an elite seller who can eventually start their own business?
Biggest thing for me, I'm going to lean in close. Although when I lean in close, my camera auto frames the face. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Hang on. I do this. No, that didn't work either. Right. But, oh, there you go. It's almost there.
Yeah.
I'm going to get right in. So the biggest thing for me, stop listening to every man and their dog on LinkedIn because they're not the experts you think they are. Right. Said that out loud. Like, there's a weight off my shoulders now. No, but seriously, I've become quite close to a lot of influencers and creators on LinkedIn, and there are good creators out there. There are good influencers out there who do a world of good, and some of them are in the sales space, right? Some of them are pulling in some good numbers, but there are a hell of a lot of people out there who look as though they're doing a lot better than they are, and they're spouting all sorts of stuff that maybe has worked for them. I don't know. I'm not going to call everyone a liar, right? Everybody's got their own client. They've got their own business. They've got their own products and services, their own brand, their own team, their own personalities. And that's the difference, is you've got to learn how to sell with what you've got, not what somebody else did, making their 6-figure exit, 7-figure exit 3 years ago with a business that's completely in parallel to yours. If you've got complex technology that you're selling, if you've got enterprise sales, if you're SaaS, if you're services, if you're consultative, all of these things have a huge impact on, and also your ideal client, right? Like, because if you're targeting operations, for example, you're going to get way less answer to cold calls and cold emails than you do if you're selling to other salespeople. And there's all these things to take into account. And honestly, it's like a forest out there. Like, I started doing this about the same time as you did, to be fair, Shane. I came into sales about 3 years ago. I had no training whatsoever. I've still never had any training. I'm uncut, right? I'm an unpolished diamond. And I had to learn, I had to think on my fucking feet, because I was selling complex enterprise tech into C-suite who were never, my previous role was retail. I was working in store management. I was working in retail leadership. I would never have dared approach a C-suite. I had to have it explained to me what B2B was 3 years ago. It's where I'm coming from, right? I didn't know B2B 3 years ago. I didn't understand what it was. I just sold cucumbers to people, right? But now I'm sitting here and I'm looking at these influencers on LinkedIn, you've got sales influencers, you've got LinkedIn influencers, you've got LinkedIn gurus, you've got email gurus, cold outreach, lead gen gurus, all these people. I've no doubt that in their own world, most of them do fairly well and they do well at what they do, but they're not you. And you can't copy what they do and make it work for you directly. You've got to make it you. So if I'm going to give anybody any advice today, it's experiment, play with stuff, break stuff, make mistakes, but understand why none of that worked and make it work for you and iterate every single day. Don't aim for perfect. Get it out there, get it done. That is podcast, right? Like it's took us like 4 weeks to get the podcast out. Eventually Shane rang me up 10 minutes ago and went, Paul, get on Riverside. Let's record now because I'm ready to go. Or okay, let's do this then. Let's do this. And like, yeah, this podcast will become more refined over time. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
No, it will. But again, and it's exactly that. It's what I hear just not too long ago. Imperfect action beats perfect inaction every time. And the one thing that I've learned is again, just like you said, there's a ton of people who are yappy. They know what to say. They will say all the right things. They post the shit out of it online. But in terms of execution and putting things on paper, that is who the real people are. The real people who can execute and make things happen. Those are the people that you want to follow. Those are the people you want to emulate. Those are the people you want to group and partner with, because those are the deal makers. Those are the people that make people happen. And the reason why I got to that point of execution, it wasn't too long ago, but I worked at as a NS Media Group. They're owned by the 6th richest man in the UK, Mike Danson. They own a company called Global Data, and there was a lot of old timers, right, in these rooms. There's a lot of old timers, maybe I want to say 50, 60-ish years old. I'm not saying that's like massively old, but in terms of who they were on the sales floor next to me, at 27, no, I was 27 was when I started. About 32, 33 is when I started to get actually quite good. 32, 33, I'm sitting there and I'm beating out these 50 to 60-year-old people that have been selling. Now, I'm not being arrogant, but these are people who I'd hear them on the floor and they'd say, I used to be this. I was this. Back then, this happened. And I would not be happy with myself if I was 50, 60 years old and I'd not ever accomplished anything other than what basic person can do. It's all about execution. It's all about execution and doing. That's been the big thing.
And I think the other side of things is that this isn't just about sales, right? I've got probably 1.5 feet, and I've got big feet, right? I've got 1.5 feet in the market, and so I'm a big fan of bringing sales inbound, not just having to do it outbound. So I'm kind of the yin to Shane's yang in this respect. Is like Shane's done cold calling, cold emails, cold outreach, and he knows that stuff inside and out. I've done it. I didn't like it. Not many people do. But my thing is building relationships, building networks, and creating content that brings your customers inbound and turns you into the brand authority that your ideal clients expect to find. And so there's the big marketing mix there, right? You've got to do your inbound, you've got to do your outbound, you've got to have your website right, and there's a perfect balance between all of it. And there will be so many people sat at home, hopefully loads of people watching this, who are business owners, who are business founders, who are, wearing 7 or 8 hats a day because that's where they're at. They're starting up, they're scaling up their growth, and they're having to do everything all at once. I'm going to try and help you guys figure out how to automate stuff, how to build processes that work for you, where you can, I started from a position where I realized that networking and LinkedIn live streams and all these sorts of things were creating great content for us. Because I used to spend 20 hours a week ghostwriting for 4 LinkedIn accounts, and that was painful. I had writer's block. I had, imposter syndrome. I didn't know what to write. Nobody wants to listen to my opinion. I wasn't an expert in the industry. So we built the content with video and we clipped that up, and I ended up spending 20 hours a week clipping up videos instead, right? Because that's the traps that you fall into. So I've been there and I've done all that stuff. Now I want to help other people. And that's why I set Javelin up, right? Javelin is my business to help do that sort of thing. And this isn't a pitch for Javelin, but my big belief in doing Javelin is I should explain to you who are listening to this podcast how I do what I do, what's my secret sauce, and what's my viewpoint on things. Because if you can go away and do those things yourself, you should go away and do them yourself. You're not my customer. Right? Stop trying to be being busy and get productive. That's the key.
That is spot on, mate. Like literally in the past 3 weeks, I've seen more of that statement come true than ever in my life. And just to complement what you've even said, a mistake that sales driven as a business made over the past 3 years is not having the mindset or the talent that you have in terms of going out to the market. Year one, we were able to go out to the market cold calling, cold email, and drum up some business. Year two, we were able to scale that. Now we hit 6 figures now, and it was great. But in terms of building something that is consistent, predictable, and can continue, was broken. So another reason why it was such a relief to hear that you've opened up this business is because you complement companies that are lacking fundamental approach to the current environment and people wanting to see, like Gary Vee says it, Patrick David says it. I don't know if you follow Alex Hormozy. He's like dynamite right now. Content drives attention, and attention is the biggest, most expensive, most wanted currency on this planet right now. If you've got attention and you can drive that attention into the next phases, which we'll go into in terms of, I'm sure we'll cover sales process, sales frameworks, and all that. You can convert that attention through good content into your funnel where they say, I'm not interested. I'm curious
Yeah.
to learn a little bit more. Does that sound like it's worth a chat?
Yep.
And the rest is history. So I think it'll be great to dovetail into all those things. I think should we keep it at 30 minutes to not drag on for too long? Let them get back to their kids.
I keep shouting now and again. I keep shouting down the microphone. People are waking up right now going, "Oh, well, what? Is it still on?" So yeah, I think we're gonna aim for about 30 minutes each week. This like will probably go out about 3 weeks delayed, so we'll release this in about a month's time or so once we've polished everything up and got everything where we want it to be. But yeah, like I said at the beginning of the show, we're going to have some exciting guests on. There's going to be a mix of guests. It's going to be internal FaceTime. It's going to be thoughts, wonderings, technology exploration, like what's coming, what's the new future trends for businesses and sales. We're going to do a lot of thought leadership around, how can we help other businesses do some of the things that we've done, or even some of our guests, how can they help with some of the stuff that we're going to do? There's so much out there that's possible. And more than anything, we value your feedback. So hit that subscribe button, get us downloaded, hit it on for the series for the rest of the year, right? Because we're going to be, I read a stat this morning saying that there are only about 700,000 podcasts globally that actually make it to more than 10 episodes. That blew my mind. That absolutely blew my mind. 700,000 or so globally. That's scary. We are going to definitely be in that 700,000 plus one. But the important thing is that this is your podcast. It's not just our podcast. So I want to hear from people. I want your thoughts. I want your feedback. I want to know who you want to see as a guest. I want to know what you thought of last week's episode. Was it dog shit? Was it great? Who's the best podcast presenter? All those sorts of things. But treat this as your own show. We're like, if you're old enough to remember it, Shane, you might. We're like the BBC broom cupboard, right? We're your show. Kids, we're bringing you all the goodies. Let's do this. Loving it.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I think that's a good one for today. And let's carry on next week. Let's keep it going. Let's break 20 as our milestone.